Welcome back. As the United States gets ready to witness a rare total solar eclipse, people in the regions who are in the direct path of the eclipse are excited. One of the states on the eclipse's path is Illinois. That's where WION's Andy Roskin met Hindu Americans who are a little worried and fascinated. Here's a report that he sent us.
In bustling downtown Chicago, even jaded Chicagoans are sensing something up there is coming. Oversized spectacles dotted around the city are making folks realize it's going to be weird, wonderful, or worrisome. The city is going gaga over the total solar eclipse that will slice through the whole country, coast to coast, during the middle of the day on August 21st, the first such American eclipse in 99 years. For a few minutes, the moon will totally block out the sun along the path of the eclipse, which includes southern Illinois. In Hindu mythology, of course, eclipses happen when the demon god Rahu occasionally swallows up the sun. And at the Hindu temple of Greater Chicago, about 330 miles north of the eclipse's direct path, Rahu will still take a pretty big bite. About 87% of the sun will be covered here. Are you worried? Is it a bad omen?
I don't think so. Life is divine. The divine does not make anything so cruel to the human or any life for that matter. I'm a volunteer at the temple.
A.V. Satish, the president of the temple, says there have been plenty of calls coming in from temple members concerned about how the temple will mark the occasion. The temple will be closed for the eclipse, and older, more devout members of the temple tell us they will stick to tradition by cautiously staying indoors during the eclipse, not eating during it, and bathing afterwards. And many feel the eclipse could be especially bad news for politicians.
There is a lot of change is going to come in the world, like politically changing, and a lot of things they say it will cost, so I was keeping touch with that, what will come in future or something like that. Sometimes it might be good, sometimes it might be bad, so I want to follow up so that I want to know what's going on, in reality.
In the direct path of the eclipse, the winds will grow still. The sun will be blotted out for about 2.5 minutes, and the temperature will drop up to 15 degrees. Dr. Mark Hammergren of Chicago's Adler Planetarium is organizing a day-long party on Eclipse Day in Chicago, but he'll actually be traveling south to be in the eclipse's direct path, where there are countless festivities planned and travel packages to mark the eclipse's arrival. And Hammergren, like many scientists, will be studying the corona, the halo of light that will appear around the eclipse. Still, he respects and understands the religious implications of it all.
The feeling is absolutely electric. Things are ramping up. It's really starting to get crazy. See the universe at work in a very living way. And if the universe was created by God, then the eclipse was created by God. So appreciating it, appreciating the eclipse is a way of appreciating creation itself, I guess.
Naresh Susarla is a scientist and also a temple member. He'll be following all his normal Hindu rituals during the eclipse, except one. He will be outside watching it. Susarla says he simply chooses to believe that the eclipse is not a bad omen.
Science and religion can coexist together, so that's what I believe. Wonderful thing to see, and you can see stars in the daylight, midday, right? So that's something wonderful. It never happens.
Andy Roskin in Chicago for WION.
And Andy Roskin is standing by live from Chicago, and the eclipse has begun. Totality, where the moon completely covers the sun, has begun in Oregon, I understand. Andy, take us through what is expected and what's happening around you.
Polky, it is a wonderful celebration here in Chicago. I'm at the Adler Planetarium, and thousands of people have been gathering here to soak all this in. I think you can see behind me, there's the planetarium back there. Unfortunately, here in Chicago, the totality won't be complete. The sun will be about 87% covered by the moon, but still, it's a celebration here. We're about 330 miles, as I mentioned there, farther than the direct path of the eclipse. But in the direct path of the eclipse, there are all kinds of festivals and things going on today. There are moon fests and eclipse fests and sol fests, they call them, people gathering here for all of this. As you saw there, I talked to people in the Hindu religion who said they're a little bit wary, but the younger members of the Hindu temple there are very excited to be outside to be watching all this. So it's quite a day. Palki?
Yes, and I want to tell our viewers that these are live images that we are getting, and this is how the eclipse is progressing. And I can tell you, Andy, as a Hindu myself, I do not quite relate to the cultural context of a party to celebrate an eclipse. How does that, what happens in these watch parties? What are these events about?
Well, you know, there's not much really to do, actually. It sounds more impressive than it really is, because once the eclipse starts in, about 45 minutes from now, it'll get quiet. Right now, there are people entering the park back here. I think you can see people entering. There's a big festival atmosphere. But once the eclipse starts, things will probably get quiet, and people will just quietly observe this and see how it's going. But, you know, farther south, as I mentioned, during the direct path of the eclipse, people are getting married underneath it, all kinds of festivals going on. But as the eclipse starts here, Palki, it'll get quiet, more reserved, and people will just kind of soak it all in.
All right then, Andy Rosgan, thanks very much. Enjoy the eclipse. And thank you for joining us here on Gravitas.